Thank you very much for joining me today. We're going to be discussing development, real estate, architecture, and everything Miami. It's great to have you here. It's really a privilege because I don't think anyone that does a development here, whether it's single family or a condominium project, does it without you knowing about it and for you to be a part of it. So every building I drive by pretty much has your name on it. So congratulations on being, the number one go-to architect in the city.
Thank you.
What do you think has been the core factor for this change? Like, what's happened that Miami is now no longer retirement central and is not just party central, but life central?
I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think that technology in its various forms and fashion has changed Miami. And what I mean by that is that COVID came along, and COVID came about quite a bit due to technology, and people were able to see on their phones, iPhones, what Miami looks like during COVID, which is like I'm looking behind you now, blue sky, white clouds, beautiful shade and shadow in the design district buildings with a royal palm tree behind you, right? So people said, wow, this is a good place to be at in Miami. And so the quality of life on a daily basis, whether it's during a pandemic or during a success, people want to come here. And I think that those kind of quality of lives make a big difference. So technology has given you that insight. Technology has also brought people here who are in the technology business and they want to come here. Founders Fund, research and development in genetics, research and development in medicine. They would like to have their businesses here. And then at the end of the day or the work week, go out, see the sunset, sunrise, go to the beach. And those kind of quality of life for a short time is very important for the health and wellness, mental, physical, of individuals. And people appreciate it now more so than ever before.
So Kobi, you're working on so many projects, so many interesting development deals here. Is there one in particular that you feel comfortable saying that you're excited about, or is there something that's you're working on that's very, very different from the norm?
As far as architecture and design, we have been blessed to work on a lot of projects which have to do with historic preservation and restoration. And some of the projects that we have been lucky enough to be part of the DNA that we carry through is, for example, historically we've done the Caribbean, which is in the Faena district. So before Faena came in, we did the Caribbean condominium. We preserve the condominium, the historic building, and bring you into the historic building to experience the new. We use that kind of DNA and thought process and typology also next door in the Cadillac. We restore the Roy France lobby, brought it back to life. For decades it was removed. It was blocked off and made into the Grossman edition. We changed it. We brought it back into the Roy France lobby, which is the beautiful two-story column lobby. So taking the thought process of design where we bring you into the old and into the new is something we're known for. Surf Club. If you come into the Surf Club.
Surf Club is like, I think the Surf Club is one of the most beautiful buildings to walk into.
Thank you.
The fact that you go from the old to the new, the transition is just seamless.
So when you play with that kind of a thought process, preservation, restoration, our buildings are not that old, they're 100 years old, not like you have in Montreal or in Quebec, right?
Right?
You have buildings there that are much older. I was born in Israel. We have buildings that are even older than that. They're 3,000 to 5,000 years old. But being able to tell the story about the architecture, where it came from, the design intent of this chair, this sofa, it's beautiful, where the inspiration came from. I can see where the black leather and the stainless steel and the chrome and the way it's shaped came from, and I can tie it to Le Corbusier. And at the same time, the cushions and the modernity of it is what makes it special. And people like to learn about the history. It's like the old Rolex versus the new Rolex. You walk into the old hotel and you see the history of what people thought about 100 years ago. And what they did there is phenomenal, because now we're doing the next building next to the surf club, the Seaway.
Right.
Again, we restore the archy entrance and we use that curve of the arch as inspiration for the curves on the building, where the surf club is more crystalline geometry. And you have an opportunity then to go to the next level. We are doing the surf house. And that's what makes it interesting, as an architect, as a designer, to implement modern furniture, modern finishes into these historic buildings. It makes it special and unique. And that's what people want. They want to see uniqueness. They don't want to see repetition. They want to know, oh, I've been to Florida. I went to the surf club. It has a part of history. I'm on the ocean. Yes, it has great facilities. Four Seasons is very nice. Thomas Keller restaurant is great. But we take that to the Raleigh Rosewood. We take it to the Shore Club Auberge. We take it to the Ritz. We take it to the Caribbean Condominium. And that creates a value and a special feeling of destination.
I assume you're working with the city, dealing with infrastructure issues as well, or are you giving your opinion to them? Because obviously you're seeing it, first. You're seeing all of the issues that all of us are dealing with, whether it's traffic or, water issues, etc. Is there a solution to these problems over time?
Yeah, so my first degree is not architecture. It's actually environmental design from the University of Minnesota. And back then, environmental design and sustainability had to do with how do we insulate the inside from the outside? How do we keep the cold out and the warmth in? And our ability to create warmth was very inefficient. Today, our ability for mechanical and heating systems is a bit more efficient. On the contrary, when you sit here inside the space, you don't hear the outside. You don't hear the cars, you don't hear the airplanes, because we have windows here that are hurricane impact. This glass can take 200-mile-an-hour coconut. What happens here is that allows you to separate the outdoor from the indoor and give you peace and quiet on the inside. Those are the kind of steps that we are now starting to take due to the force of nature. We had a hurricane and it forced us to get away from the codes of the rest of the lower 48 in the United States of America and create our own codes, which are resilient, sustainable for dislocation. And that's what we needed to do. That's what we are doing, not only in the glazing, the insulation, the mechanical, the water. We have sea level rise. Anybody who tells you, oh no, there's no sea level rise, no, you can argue whether it's from fossil fuels.
So you're telling me global warming is real?
I'm telling you that according to Al Gore, who's been speaking about global warming, I think, for a couple of decades more so, and or even the in the 80s and 70s, Sagan, what's his name? He had an environmental show. The environment is always changing. The plates, the tectonic plates on planet Earth are always moving.
So let's talk about the changes. In regards to design, features, the new buildings that you're designing, anything that's changed over the last 5 or 6 years? I mean, I've noticed it to do with people want bigger units, but anything in particular that's become a lot more of a challenge to deal with?
Design has been opened up. Technology has allowed the average individual to see designs inside and outside throughout the world. So the ability to communicate a look or an image, it is more international. When you and I were growing up, we would land in Europe. I would come from Minnesota. I would have a certain dress code that people would say, he is not from France. Yet today, everybody basically dresses in the same cohesive manner throughout the world. That is also applicable now to architecture. So the buildings that are being created here are being created in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Luanda, we're building Angola.
Wow.
We just finished a project in Cape Town, South Africa, on Mooley Point, which is down south where you can see the whales come across and there's a beautiful pink lighthouse. Then you must what I see is, as a designer, we have the responsibility to take something and make it unique and special. Like when I'm going to leave today, I'm going to remember your jacket and I'm going to remember your jeans. And that is important. People need something to take away. Like the guy who's taking the video there, I'm going to remember his plaid shirt, flannel that we would have up north that I haven't seen in quite a while. I would have to go see my son in New York to see that shirt, right? So those are the kind of things that make a statement and make it unique. The glass wall behind you against the black concrete structure with the open space with the light, beechwood colors on the floor is a very Florida statement. That works very well. Many, many, many buildings that we are doing today have this kind of glazing, floor to ceiling, that doesn't even need a lot of shears and drapes, and because we have private spaces that nobody needs. So the idea of the Philip Johnson glass box exists more so today with the technology that we have, with the design direction that we're going. And that is prevalent throughout. And so if I'm in Italy and I'm designing in Italy, or now we're designing a project in Greece, it's unique not only to Greece, but also to the island and to the specific neighborhood. And what's nice about it is that the community, the laws and the codes say, no, Kobi, you have to keep and maintain the existing buildings and decks and roofs and work within them, even the signage, right? So that becomes and makes it an exciting challenge and unique opportunity.
Is there a particular, let's just say, is there a particular residential building, not one of your own designs, that you see and every time you see you're in awe of the design? Anywhere in the world? Doesn't have to be Florida. Is there one that really gravitates to you?
There isn't one. If you want to go to what my core of my inspiration is, if you want to go to what my Bible of architecture is, to the point of Genesis, then when I studied in Minnesota in the Prairie Style School of Architecture, Frank Lloyd Wright, who was a modernist architect, who used concrete, stained concrete, who used open spaces with natural materials to create basically architecture that is bringing the environment in. Those kind of designs and thoughts are very unique and special to me. And you can't mimic it or copy it. That's why the office of Frank Lloyd Wright did not continue on. But you need to take that DNA and modify it and change it and use it as inspiration to the next level. That's what I think is important. You can't copy, replicate, let's call it Mediterranean revival architecture in Florida, in Palm Beach. I wouldn't want to do that. I would not want to do a streamlined MIMO building again. I would take that DNA and preserve it and expand upon it and build a new structure of the time. And I think that is important to create and to do, because then it gives you an opportunity to be creative in your own time. There is a sunrise coming after the sunset.
But you did say you were an optimist, so.
I am an optimist.
Your optimism has given me optimism. I want to really thank you for spending the time today, giving us your vision, your insight. There's not a building I go by without seeing your name on it. And I have to tell you, kudos to you. The projects that you're working on are quite special.
Thank you.
And I think you get those projects also because you're a special person yourself.
Thank you.
And I really mean that.
Thank you, Simon. It means a lot.
Thank you very much for coming.